pre-listing inspection. I'm a seller, I'm here in Metro Atlanta, I'm gonna list my home. I'm realizing that there's more inventory on the market right now than there has been for several years, and I want my listing to stand out compared to the others. How does a pre-listing inspection work?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pre-listing, or as you said earlier, we like to call it a market-ready inspection. We actually did one literally just the other day in the pouring rain. So that always makes for a fun and challenging inspection. But what that means is the seller is actually the one who is paying for the inspection. So we are doing the same thing that we would for a buyer, but for the seller's benefit. But like you said, there is more inventory, so competition is a little bit higher now. And if you want your listing to stand out, we like to, when we're talking to the seller to convince them to do the inspection, we said, you want to be on the offense, not the defense. So when you put your house on the market, let's just say you haven't got that pre-listing inspection, you're going to have a buyer's inspector come through. There might be things you don't know about. And all of a sudden you've got the buyer saying, we want $10,000 in credits to compensate for those issues. Whereas when we come in, we're able to find those issues ahead of time prior to them listing the home, and they can choose to decide which items they want to fix, and that just puts them more in the driver's seat. And if I'm a buyer and I've got a report that's already ready, next to the seller's disclosure, my thinking would be, okay, this seller is serious, and it's one less barrier to getting to the closing table.
One of the things that I know is worrisome to buyers, they get a list of repairs and that, they only have 2 days to get the request made and get everything negotiated, or else they might lose their earnest money, and they don't know what it's going to cost to solve all the problems. And I think Pillar to Post has a solution for that, meaning somebody can get the cost on things like snap of a fingers, can get it in a day. Talk to us about that.
So at the end of the inspection, when the client receives that report, there's actually a link for something we would call PTP estimates. And it's powered through a company called BossCat. And all of the deficiencies that we have in our summary report, they will actually, if they type in a little bit of information, they send that over to BossCat, and they provide them a quote on how much it is to fix those items within 24 hours. So it's a very, very helpful tool for those clients.
Your home inspection, as I understand it, is like a 3D virtual reality tour. So if there's a problem with the fireplace, then you actually kind of like you're zooming in, looking at the fireplace, and then it explains to you what the problem is. What's that called?
So we have, it's actually one of our coolest tools. It's called PTP 360. And think of it, people have probably seen when they are, looking at homes on Zillow, and they're taking those 360 tours through a home. We are doing that from a home inspection perspective, but we're also doing the exterior of the house as well. So, if we can take a shot in the attic, we're doing that. If we can take one in the crawl space, we're doing that. So it is giving a buyer and or a seller, if they wanted that, a full 360 image of each room of the house. Well, along with 2 of our packages, it also includes a floor plan. So it's going to give them all of the specific room dimensions and square footage of the home, which is very helpful for 60s, 70s home where those floor plans are probably long gone.
What is radon, and do you recommend it? And number 2, how prevalent are termites in Georgia, and do you recommend termite inspections?
Sure. So radon is actually decaying uranium that every home has it. So crawl space, slab, or basement. Typically on basements and crawl spaces, it is a little more prevalent. We do suggest getting that tested. It is an odorless, tasteless gas, so the only way to truly know that you have it is to test. We go in there, we put our units in, and they sit there for 48 hours. We come back, we pick them up, and we get the results right afterwards. If a home does come back high for radon, it is not the end of the world. It is a fairly easy fix nowadays where they can keep those levels more in check. And then with termites, absolutely. Any home in Georgia should have a termite bond. We are actually lucky enough where we partner with Arrow Exterminators. They come out and they do the termite inspections for us. And they provide, as long as everything looks good, they provide the WDO letter. And that basically saying that they are putting their stamp of approval that they will bond the house. But very, very important to get a termite bond.